Hi guys and girls, so now we're going to use cystic fibrosis to understand a little bit about genetics and also use genetics to answer a cystic fibrosis related question. So what is cystic fibrosis? Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease that causes persistent inflammation or infection in the lungs and limits the ability of people to breathe over time. And it is caused by it is an autosomal recessive disease, which means that a person needs to inherit two of the recessive genes in order for them to have this disease. So what I've done is that I've created a question and based around the story of cystic fibrosis, and this question basically takes different aspects of inheritance and genetics and tries to ask questions based on those aspects. So it puts together simple recessive dominant relationship, how to use pedigrees, probability, and a little bit of epistatic relations. So I hope you enjoy. And also I would suggest that you try and do this question before watching the video. I have attached a document with the practice questions and another document with the answers on the web page. So in our question we have Musa, a 35-year-old male who is a carrier for cystic fibrosis. His father has the disease, so his father is autosomal recessive for cystic fibrosis. Musa has two wives who do not have the disease, and one of the wives, B, is a carrier for the disease. Now, Musa wants to have children, and he wants to make sure that his children do not have cystic fibrosis. So we're going to answer a series of questions to help Musa figure out which wife to have children with. The first question asks us about the form of inheritance that cystic fibrosis follows. And as you will recall from either the articles on the webpage or videos or what I've said earlier, it is an autosomal recessive disease, which means that a person needs to have two of the recessive alleles in order to have the disease. Now, the second question asks us to write down the genotypes of Musa, his parents, and his wives. And the way I like to do this is to start with the simplest genotypes that I have. So I started with Musa's father. Because I know that Musa's father has the disease, it means that he is homozygous recessive, which means he has both of the little a alleles. I use A to denote my cystic fibrosis gene. And then I went to Musa. Musa is a carrier, and we know that all carriers in simple dominant recessive relationships are heterozygous. So I put both Musa and his wife, Zoe, to be heterozygous, big A, little a. And also we know that only one of the wives is a carrier, so the other wife has to be dominant A, big A, big A. And another thing that is that we do not know Musa's mother's genotype. All we know is that Musa's mother gives out a big A to Musa. So we don't know whether she is big A, or little a, little a. So that's why I just put the A and the dash there. The next question asks us to draw a pedigree for Musa's family, starting from his father, and also to speculate the genotypes or phenotypes that the children would have. So what I did is, you can look at the video on pedigrees on the webpage, and we usually denote shaded for affected people, and I also used half shaded for the carrier, so you can see that they carry one of the genes for the disease. So as the picture shows below, Musa's father is fully shaded, and the important part is that we do not know Musa's mother, so you just need to put a question mark on that one. And also for the children, we use diamonds because we do not know the sexes that the children are. And for the next question, we see from the pedigree that Musa is better off marrying Z because none of their children will be affected. This is not to say that the children that he will have with Zoe are definitely going to be affected. As we can see from the pedigree, some of the children are not affected. There's a 2 in 3 chance that when he has children with Zoe, they won't be affected. He's just better off having children with B because he's 100% sure that they will not be affected. And so the probability that Musa will not pass the recessive gene is 1 out of 2 because Musa can only pass 2 genes, and that is the big A and the little a. So if he does not pass the recessive gene, he has to pass the big A, which is 1 out of the 2 genes that he has. And for the sixth question, in order to find the probability that Musa and B's child is a carrier, you need to find the probability that Musa passes a little a and B passes a big A, because we know that B only has big A, the only allele that she can pass is big A. So the probability that Musa passes a little a is 1 out of 2, and the probability that B passes a big A is 1. So you multiply those probabilities to get a half. And then now there is a small twist to the question where a geneticist finds out that the sauce in the Buffalo Wild Wings is an enzyme that has epistatic relationships with the genes for cystic fibrosis. He finds that the enzyme does not really affect the big A allele, and that if a person has the big A, little a, the heterozygous allele, then they will have the disease. So they will, after eating the sauce, they will now begin to have cystic fibrosis, and that it has a lethal effect on people that have the little a allele. So if a person eats the sauce and they have the little a allele, they're going to die. And the question asks us now to assume that everyone in the family has this sauce. Using the people in question 3, write down the new genotypes and phenotypes for the family. So one important thing to notice about this question is that the enzyme does not affect the genotype, it only affects the phenotype. So that's why the genotypes will remain the same. The only thing that will change now is that Musa's father will be deceased or will die because of eating the sauce, since the sauce causes the little a allele to be lethal. And then Musa and his wife Zoe are going to start having cystic fibrosis because the enzyme causes the heterozygous allele to now start manifesting cystic fibrosis. We do not know what will happen to Musa's mother. She can either have cystic fibrosis or not be affected depending on her genotype, since all we know is that she just has the big A, one big A. We do not know about the second allele. And then Zoe will be unaffected. B will be unaffected because she has the big A genotype. And that will be it for the question. Once again, if you didn't understand the video, you thought it was a bit too fast, I have attached a copy of the answers on the website under cystic fibrosis, and then you can go to the answers where it has all of the answers. And I also put in a document of the questions if you would like to use those. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that it was very, very helpful. Thank you.